Hello students, Chemistry Rights team once again welcomes you for the discussion of NEET NTA Mock 88 test number. And in this video, we are going to completely discuss about NTA recently released 88 question. I hope you'll enjoy this video. Excite us with support if you like this video, and if this series is useful, please do not forget to subscribe and share to your friends. And whatever the problem you have, comment down here queries and your recommendations. We'll try to fix your solutions. And as from initial days I used to say it, Chemistry Rights team is going to be really a very good mentor to you. So whatever the problems related to the subjects, you can definitely ping us. We will try to get back to you. So we'll go to the very first question. So the very first question says, for which the wavelength will be minimum by giving various electronic transitions. Various electronic transition in a uni-electronic species is given. Since it is uni-electron species, let me take a hydrogen atom, 1 electron species. So they have given some numbers. So what my suggestion on this is, this type of question is absurd. Always better calculate the energy and find out the energy difference to find the exact answer, because the exact energy levels can be identified with the help of taking a difference of the energies. So therefore, rather than predicting or guessing between the energy levels, better to calculate the given numbers. The option says 1, 2 and then 3, 4, and apart from that the number 6 is a new number. So 4 already from the option A we have calculated. So therefore we will say n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 energy values, and I'm obtaining it here, and I'm taking a difference. When the electron de-excites from n equal to 6 to 4, then I'm subtracting just minus 0.38 electron volt minus of minus 0.85, that is going to be plus 0.85. So that is going to result in 0.47 electron volt. When n equal to 4 to 2, minus 0.85 electron volt minus and minus of 3.4. So that is this one. So therefore what we are getting it as 2.55 electron volt. Similarly, the rest 2 is also done, and they are asking for a minimum wavelength. When it is a minimum wavelength, the energy must possess greater in energy, because E equal to h nu and hc by lambda. So the wavelength and the energy is inversely related. So the minimum wavelength will have a greater energy. So the greater energy is observed for option C. So therefore the first question takes answer as option C. Second question, the solubility order for some carbonates is given. From the options we will infer that, or we are inferring that alkali and alkaline earth metals are given. Alkali metals solubility generally increases down the group, and alkaline earth metal solubility decreases down the group. So the solubility is always dependent upon two important factors. One is hydration energy, other one is lattice energy. Okay, which predominates is based on that the solubility will be decided. Okay, so now the correct solubility order from this we can guess. Now option 1, 2, 3 seems a perfect one, so therefore we may say this one. Sodium, potassium, rubidium, the order must be reversed, so this is a wrong option. So reverse is true. Sodium, potassium, rubidium, the reverse is observed to be true, so therefore it is not the correct option. And number of stereoisomers for the given compound, and it has got one chiral carbon attached to 4 different groups, 1, 2, 3, and this entire group is called as the another group. So one group is OH, the second group is hydrogen, the third group is CH3, the fourth group is CH3, CH double bond CH. So therefore it has got one chiral carbon, and therefore that exhibits optical isomerism, so DL isomerism. So totally 2 dextrorotatory and the other isomer is levorotatory, so 2 optical, and then it has also got a cis transposition because of double bond, so it also exhibits 2 geometrical, so 2 geometrical and then 2 optical, altogether totally 4 is the answer. So option B. And we can also say it contains 2 stereocenter, and it will be also be written in the formula kind 2 power n. So the 2 power n is 2 power 2 is good, that is also going to be 4. Other way to get that options. How many molecules are there in 10 drops of water if its volume is 0.05 ml per drop? Okay, so which means one drop has got volume 0.05 ml. So since density is 1 gram per milliliter, which means the raw meaning of it is 1 milliliter contains 1 gram. So 0.05 milliliter present in 1 gram is, or 1 drop is going to have 0.05 gram. So in that 0.05 gram is present in one particular drop, and they've asked for 10 drops of water. For 10 drops of water we may say 0.5 gram or 1 by 2 gram. So we know for water molecules 18 gram is 1 mole. So 1 mole contains Avogadro number of molecules. Okay, 6 into 10 power 23 molecules. Then 1 by 2 for half gram, how much it is if you calculate, you are getting it as 1.672 into 10 power 22. I feel the answer is not exactly matching. Maybe option A might have been the answer, but it is given 10 power 21. I think so we have to change it to 10 power 22. If it is 1 drop of water, then we may say 1.667 into 10 power 21 as the answer. And setting of plaster of Paris, we know calcium sulfate into half H2O is plaster of Paris. Sometimes this can also be written in another format like this. Calcium sulfate will be multiplied by 2, and it can also be referred like this. This is another way of representing the plaster of Paris. We will also call it as POP in a short manner. Generally it is also called as a gypsum, which is used for setting up of cement. So in a gypsum, it forms, as soon as you mix with the water, it forms a solid mass or plastic mass, and it finally gets very hardened. That is due to another hydrate formations, and that hydrate formation is given up over here, calcium sulfate dot 2H2O, and therefore I will say the fifth one has got hydration to yield another hydrate is the correct option. And question number 6, which has got a minimum heat of hydration as per pi bond. Okay, so they have given the minimum heat of hydrogenation, which means when hydrogen is added, the alkene becomes alkane, so the heat released is asked for. So it always depends on the stability of the alkene. If the stability of the alkene is very high, it doesn't undergo reaction, so the heat release will be less. So therefore we may say the heat of hydrogenation and stability of the alkene is inversely related. So in this case, benzene is said to be most stable since it gets already aromatic in nature, which generally doesn't exhibit tendency for the hydrogenation reactions. So therefore the sixth one is option D appears to be the best answer. And for seventh question, which of the major product obtained in the following reactions? I will first suggest, when you see this kind of structures, the very first thing that you should not do is you should not panic about looking at the various options, the structures, because many of the students, by looking at the organic structures, they have a very high phobic about it. So I will see, just observe what are the changes. Okay, you are not asked to do something without option list. We have been provided with 4 options. You are asked for answers. So what my suggestion in this is, you have to look, observe carefully for all the 4 options. What are the final changes happening to the initial compounds given? So that you try to get it. Always it guides you and it gives you some idea. So in case if you find there is no other go for some questions, you can always use this kind of techniques to get improved in your scores. So I will suggest the NH2 is, it is a reagent. This is a carbylamine reactions, which is a famous test for primary amines, false smelling test. So this NC will become, that is I will say here, the NH2 becomes NC. So once that NH2 becomes NC, then it is a reduction. Cyanide, we know on reduction it produces CH2NH2. But over here NC is present, so NC will be cleaved here something like this, 1 hydrogen here and 3 hydrogen altogether. Here also 4 hydrogen only, so that 4 hydrogen will be attached to something like this. So if it is attached like this, then we may get NH and then CH3 as the answer. So that NHCH3 is observed in option A, B and then C. And also there is another compound you can find, which is over here ketone. So the ketone is also going to undergo a reduction. So ketone, when it undergoes reduction, we may say C double bond O. So again over here you break the bond, here you add 1 hydrogen, here you add another hydrogen. So CH and then OH should be the nature. So it turns into secondary alcohol. So the carbon attached to two different ones. So it appears to be option A for this one. Okay, so none of the other options, because here the cyanide is not at all, undergoing a reaction. So reductions CH2NH2. So it has to become CH2NH2. This part has become CH2NH2 and CHOH and also NHCH3. All the three changes are happened only in this compound. So therefore we must select that as the option. And question number 8, reaction with the chlorine water. Remember from P block of your 12th standard portions, chlorine water, when it reacts, it releases HCl and HOCl. This HOCl in turn will also release HCl plus nascent oxygen. This free oxygen is responsible for the chlorine bleaching agent. So chlorine can also act as a bleaching agent, and the bleaching action is due to oxidation. Actually, the bleaching done by the chlorine water is very permanent, that is due to the oxidation, whereas sulfur dioxide bleaching is only temporary, because it does bleaching by reduction process. It gets again air oxidized. So the bleached article is going to get air oxidized. So the chlorine water which produces HOCl, what we call it as is hypochlorite. Okay, OCl minus is hypochlorite. So therefore the acid name of it is hypochlorous acid. It produces hypochlorous acid. The hypochlorous acid can be dissociated into HO minus and then Cl plus. So since oxygen is more electronegative, it gets negative charge. So the addition is done as per the Markovnikov addition. So CH3, CHOH, CH2, Cl. So that exactly found in option A. And then 9th question, borax is converted to crystalline boron. So over here the borax is Na2B4O7. Upon treatment with HCl, it converted into H3BO3 or boric acid. Boric acid upon heating will give you B2O3 by converting into metaboric acid. Even in previous NTA videos I've discussed this part also in a detailed manner. H3BO3, how it gets converted into B2O3. From B2O3 we are doing a reduction process. Aluminium, when we use, we are going to get a crystalline boron. When we use magnesium, amorphous boron is going to be obtained. But what they have asked here is a crystalline boron. So the crystalline boron is possibly obtained from aluminium. Okay, so we may say it is obtained from the aluminium. So therefore that option that it exactly matches here is, I will suggest HCl. Okay, so the 9th one takes option D, dilute HCl. And it is magnesium. You should have used this option A. In case over here instead of crystalline, if they ask amorphous, then option A is said to be correct. But now option D only is exactly matching. So therefore we should go for option D. 10th question, rectified spirit contains 95% ethanol by mass. Yes, already we know it. It can also act as an azeotrope, and the mole fraction of ethanol is asked for. So azeotropes is constant boiling mixture. The rectified spirit will boil at exactly equal temperature. Both water and ethanol boils at constant temperature. So therefore the fractional distillation will be little difficult for the rectified spirit. So it contains 95 gram of ethanol and 5 gram of water, because since it is said percentage by mass, it contains 95 gram ethanol and 5 gram water. So the mole fraction of ethanol can be written as number of moles of ethanol by total number of moles. So the number of moles of ethanol is 95 by molar mass is 46, and number of moles of ethanol again plus number of moles of water. So the water is 5 gram by 18 gram per mole. So the answer is obtained as 0.881, which is appeared in option D. And 11th question, hydrogen peroxide is prepared in laboratory by action of sulfuric acid with, this is an observed fact, sodium peroxide and then barium peroxide. Hydrated barium peroxide on treatment with sulfuric acid produces the hydrogen peroxide needed. So that the answer that it follows is both A and C. And in the given reactions, C6H5CH2Br AgCN. Remember, AgCN is a covalent compound. Since it is a covalent compound, the Ag and the Cn over here, this bond breakage is difficult. So it is strongly bonded. So nitrogen only is free to attack the electrophile. So when Br minus goes here, the CH2 will get a positive charge. Benzyl carbocation is somewhat more stable, but still this reactions will proceed in the medium. Depending upon the medium, it may proceed to SN2 or SN1. So this this AgCN will attack on this CH2 and Br minus at the same time it leaves, so that we will say it is a simultaneous attack. So SN2 type of mechanism. So AgCN will gets attached as a NC. So remember, AgCN is covalent in nature. Since carbon is bonded to the silver, the carbon cannot attack on the another carbon. Okay. Whereas in the case of KCN, it is an ionic compound. It exists as K plus and then Cn minus. So therefore now the cyanide is free. Moreover, carbon-carbon bond is still more stable. So therefore automatically it results in cyanide as a major product if we use KCN. So what my point here is, not only learn this question, if instead of this question AgCN, if they ask you KCN, you have to change your views into this way. So that's what the point is all about here. So the KCN is ionic in nature, so therefore cyanide will be the major product. But when you use AgCN, NC is the major product. Okay, that is the final point what I wanted to say here. Even this is a reasoning question asked in your NCERT also, you can find in the NCERT. And those who are reading in the state syllabus can also understand the nature of this AgCN and then KCN. So therefore the 12th one, that option exactly matches here for the major product is option B. 13th question, which among the following is a false statement? Yeah, the very first statement itself is a false statement, because carbon dioxide is a linear molecule with a bond angle as 180, but SiO2 will exist as a three-dimensional network silicates like. It will be also existing as a SiO4 4 minus unit. It reacts with the water further and it exists as a SiO4 4 minus unit. This is how it is existing actually. So it is going to exist as a three-dimensional network type structures. So therefore what I will suggest is the SiO2 is not going to exist as a structure similar to carbon dioxide. Moreover, that exists as a combined form. It never exists in a native state or free state or uncombined state due to very high reactivity. And the silicon can be prepared by reducing SiO2 with magnesium. So magnesium is acting as a reducing agent here. So it reduces SiO2 to Si. So therefore it is can be done. And silicon does not exist in a graphite like structure, but exists only in diamond like structure, because this is a tetrahedral in nature, and graphite will have a pi-pi bond nature. P-pi multiple bond is there in graphite. So whereas such kind of cases are not effectively formed in the case of silicon and oxygen, because oxygen will have a p orbitals, silicon will have a p orbitals, which will be varying in their sizes. So the p-pi bonds are not practically possible in the case of silicates. So therefore this option D is also appears to be correct. So only option A is a false statement. Question number 14. The vapor pressure of mercury is 2 into 10 power minus 3 mm mercury at 27 degrees Celsius. The value of equilibrium constant is asked for. So the vapor pressure of mercury, if it is so, that is due to only the gaseous mercury. Initially the mercury would have been at liquid state at room temperature. So the pressure is, you can consider it as straight away Kp. So the Kp is equal to the vapor pressure of mercury. So that is in turn equal to 2 into 10 power minus 3 mmHg. And then we can also say, converting into atmosphere, that is can be written as 2.631 into 10 power minus 6 atmosphere, because 1 atmosphere is 760 mmHg. So we may say accordingly that one. So Kp equal to Kc RT del Ng we can say. So del Ng for this is only 1 gaseous mole. Always remember del Ng we should see gaseous one, not a liquid one. So it is del Ng is 1. So substituting R and T, here we are getting Kc equal to 1.06 into 10 power minus 7. So that is exactly matching as 14 is A. And 15, if 0.1 mole of salt is added to 1 liter of water, which of these salts expected to produce most acidic solution? So the most acidic solution is produced by the most acid one, and ammonium nitrate should be the best option of it, since it is a salt of weak base and then strong acid. The weak base here is ammonium hydroxide and the strong acid is nitric acid, HNO3. So therefore which is expected to exhibit a most acidic solutions. Though C and D is also exhibits acidic character, but when compared to C and D, B is more acidic. A is not at all comes under the category of acidic natures. And the 16th question, Hoffman ammonolysis reaction. Ammonolysis, breaking of RX bond with the help of ammonia, it produces RNH2, which is primary amine. That in turn reacts with again RX. It produces secondary amine. It also produces a tertiary amine, and it finally goes to the quaternary ammonium salts. Depending upon the condition, the reaction can be stopped at primary stage itself. If you take a excess alkyl halide, then there is a more alkyl halide present, so the reaction goes up to quaternary ammonium salts. If there is no excess alkyl halide, only the ammonia is taken excess, so the alkyl halides will be continuously reacting with the primary alkyl halide, so it produces only primary amine. So reactions can be stopped at various stages by altering the conditions. When you take excess ammonia, primary amine will be stopped. If you take excess alkyl halides, always it results in mixture of products, primary, secondary, tertiary, and then quaternary ammonium salts will be obtained. Separation will be little difficult. So therefore, I will say for this 16, option D, mixture of primary, secondary, tertiary, and then quaternary ammonium halide. And 17th question, which of the following represents chelating ligands? Remember, for chelating ligands, the definition says majorly the didentate or polydentate ligands only can act as a chelating ligand. That's a minimum entry for the chelating ligands. Monodentate ligands or ambidentate ligands can never act as a chelating ligands. Ambidentate ligand in the sense there will be two binding sites, but all the two binding sites cannot be used at a time to bind with a metal. Whereas chelating ligands difference is like it will have a two binding sites. All the two binding sites can be attached to the same metal, and that is what we call it as a chelating ligands. So therefore, monodentate and ambidentate ligands generally cannot act as a chelating ligands. So here SCN minus is an ambidentate ligand, cyanide is also ambidentate ligand, OH minus can also act as a bridging ligand. It bridges or it acts as a bridge between two metals also. But here 2,2 dipredyl is what we can say it as bidentate ligand. And the denticity, bidenticity is created because of two nitrogens. Here there is two lone pairs, so therefore we may say there are two dentic sites. And coming to question number 18, when the compound propyne is passed through the iron heat tube, so what it polymerizes and gives finally. So we can write the three propyne molecules this way. This is the first molecule, and then the second molecule is written something like this, and the third molecule is made to orient like this. So then when you just go for writing this way, the double bond, the triple bond is going to be created as a bond between carbon and carbon, and there will be another imaginary bonds, or we can say something like this. Here there will be a bond, and here there will be a bond, and here there will be a bond that forms a 6-membered ring with a double bond, and therefore here we may say 1,3-trimethyl benzene, that is called as mesitylene. Okay, so this is a mesitylene, and that exactly matches as option B. And question number 19, they're asking for, based on the followed reactions, what is the heat of formation of carbon monoxide? So heat of formation in the sense formation of 1 mole of the compound. Here I formed 1 mole of the compound from its stable elements. For carbon, graphite is the stable elements. Please make sure you know the stable elements. For all the stable elements, formation enthalpy is 0. So we will say what are the stable standard states. For carbon, graphite is the most stable state. For fluorine, gaseous form is the most stable state. For chlorine, gaseous form again is the most stable state. For bromine, it is liquid. For iodine, it is solid. This is the most stable state for some of the elements. And therefore, we may say here, it results in the oxygens and it forms 1 mole of the carbon monoxide. So there are only 1 oxygen on the right side. So half oxygen will make me to give 1 oxygen. So therefore, I am trying to get this desired equation. This is our needed equation for which we have to calculate the del H. The given equation says the first graphite is on the left side, so I'm keeping that as it is without changing. But the second equation, the carbon monoxide is on the left side, but actually I have to get it on the right side as per the desired equation here. So I'm reverting that equation. When I'm reverting it equation, I'm also observing here there are 2 CO, but here for us formation enthalpy only 1 mole must be present. So therefore I'm also dividing by 2. When I divide by 2, 569 by 2, when I reverse it, the thermochemical equations, the sign has to change. So minus 569 becomes plus 569. So therefore 284.5. So therefore what we may say on it is summing up of these two is resulting in minus 109.5 kilojoule. I will always suggest when you have the same options here, you should be a bit cautious, though you are very strong in this type of questions. When you see automatically this type of questions, you should be a bit cautious in answering this type of questions. Okay, so I will suggest it is minus 109.5 is the appear to be the answer. And question number 20. In question number 20, we will say which of these oxidation states or reduction pair will give the reduction potential vary with the pH. I will categorize this question as immediately it is cannot be understood. It is a moderate to difficult level of question. So americium compound is asked for. So try to balance that americium compounds. AmO2 2 plus is converting into Am2 plus in the case of second one. Okay, so the difference here is we may say 2 oxygen are there. So I'm balancing oxygen by writing water molecules. By the time 4 hydrogen has become, so 4H plus. So find out the oxidation state for americium. For the left side it is x equal to 6. For the right side it is x equal to 2. So the difference is 6 minus 2, that is 4. So therefore 4 electrons. That contains H plus. So definitely it depends. The reduction potential depends on the pH of the solution. Whereas the first option given is says AmO2 2 plus to AmO2 plus. So already oxygen is also both sides 2 oxygen are there. Only we have to do the charge balancing. Here x equal to 6, here x equal to 5. So only the difference is 1 electron. It doesn't have any H plus at all. And the third one 4 plus to 2 plus, the difference is 2. So therefore we may say here it's only 2 electrons. Again it doesn't depend on H plus. So therefore for 20 option B only appears to be the correct answer. Okay, 2 only has H plus. And 21, which of the following is correct? Okay, so S of 6, yes, the sulfur has got 12 electrons. The 12 electron is here 2 electrons, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So altogether 6 bonds. 6 bonds, 6 into 2, we may say 12 bonds are present. So the rate of ionic reactions are generally faster, but here it is given slow. It's a very fast reactions. According to VSEPR, SnCl2 is an angular shape or bent shape or a V shape. So we can find here it is not a linear in shape. So therefore that is also a wrong option. So the order of stability to form ionic compounds is actually Na plus and then Mg2 plus and then aluminium 3 plus. This is the correct order. So therefore option D is also wrong, C is also wrong and B is also wrong. Only the A appears to be the correct for this one. And coming to the question number 22, they have asked for which of the following graph represents the variation of the particle momentum with a de Broglie wavelength. So we know the de Broglie wavelength is lambda equal to h by p, and we will see something like this is like Boyle's law equation. I hope you know from your grade 11 syllabus states of matter Boyle's law. So PV equal to constant, or pressure volume is constant. So when the pressure volume is constant, that is in the format of xy equal to k, that follows a rectangular hyperbola. So therefore P versus V, pressure increases, volume decreases. Same way when the wavelength is increasing, momentum is going to decrease. So the exact options that it matches here is D. So 22 D. You can correlate this with the Boyle's law graph. 23. Which of the following compounds is formed when a mixture of potassium dichromate and NaCl is heated with concentrated sulfuric acid? So this we can observe. It's a very important test even in your qualitative analysis of your practicals. Chromyl chloride test. Chromyl chloride test is for test for chloride radicals, and it produces chromyl chloride, and that chromyl chloride upon passing to NaOH, it gets converted into yellow solution, and that yellow solutions upon passing into lead acetate, or by pouring again 2-3 drops of lead acetate, it converts the yellow solutions into yellow precipitate. It is lead chromate. So make sure the principle or the points related to it also is known to you. So sometimes they may also ask you chromyl chloride test straight away by giving like a compound with reddish orange vapors upon passing with a caustic soda. Even you can use an alternative as a water. Instead of caustic soda, you can also use a water here. We used to do that in our lab. So like when we have a water, then we may get here H2CrO4. So it is a chromate, and chromate and 8 if it ends with, then we will say chromic acid. So this is H2CrO4 will be produced. Chromic acid also will be in yellow in solutions. So you can also go for an alternative as water rather than caustic soda. So the reddish orange vapors, when it is passed with water, or when the vapors are passed into the water or caustic soda, it converts into yellow solution. That yellow solution upon treatment with lead acetate forms lead chromate. So this is the reactions. So the option that it exactly matches here is 23A. So added information is also given. Make sure you utilize it. Maybe you may find another bit on this question, maybe in some other mock test also. Maybe you can also find for coming NEET also, and other competitive part. 24. Osmotic pressure of one particular urea solution is given 1.64. There are two different solution given. First one is urea solution, next one is can sugar solution, 1.64 atmosphere and then 2.46 atmosphere. So equal volumes are added, which means I am taking here as a V volume and V volume. Okay, let's say pi 1 V1 plus pi 2 V2 equal to pi 3 V3, which is also like a Boyle's law equation. P1 V1 plus P2 V2 equal to P3 V3. So pi is a pressure here. So we are replacing that P1 by pi 1. That's it. So the very first solution pressure is 1.64. Since it is an equal volume, let me take it as a volume as V. And then again, let me take for the second one 2.46 of a V solution. So V plus V final volume will become 2V. You can also take any volume, 10 ml, 10 ml or 50, 50. Let it be equal volumes on both sides. When you take here 50, 50, here it becomes 50 plus 50, 100. So automatically it becomes anyways 2, it becomes 2 in the denominator. So that pi 3, the new osmotic pressure or the resulting osmotic pressure is 2.05 atmosphere. Option D is appear to be matching. And 25, the benzaldehyde on treatment with the hydroxylamine NH2OH with a H plus, what is the product formed? So with the hydroxylamine, it forms oxime and it forms a syn anti-isom. Okay, so syn anti-1, syn in the sense both H plus and OH minus or OH group, if it is on the same side, we will say it is a syn. Syn means the same side, anti means opposite side. The OH here and H can be in opposite side. So it can exhibit actually a mixture of syn and anti-oxime. It is like a geometrical isomerism kind. So the 25 option A appears to be the correct one. And for 26, Ri alkyl iodide upon treatment with the NaCN DMF. DMF is actually not a protic one. Polar protic favors SN1 because SN1 is hydrated by the carbocation mechanism SN1. So polar protic medium will stabilize that carbocation. So but DMF, dimethyl formamide, is a non-polar. So therefore what we may suggest is it favors SN2 reactions, which means one step mechanism. So it cannot be majorly tertiary, possibly it can be a primary. So therefore moreover iodide is a better leaving group. So possibly the 26 takes the option as it may not be a tertiary, but it can be primary or secondary. Even it can be a methyl iodide, but it cannot be tertiary. So please understand, they're asking for what may not be here. Okay, it is not what is may be here. So it cannot be a tertiary. So that's a very, very important point. When they give like this -1 or a language trapping, so I want you to understand very clearly, do not go for prejudging the questions. And 27, calculate the resonance energy of N2O from the data. So the resonance energy is to be given as formation enthalpy of N2O, for which it is asked for that experimental formation enthalpy minus calculated enthalpy. So remember EC, it is very easy to remember, experimental minus calculated, easy. Okay, you can remember in the easy way. So experimental value minus calculated value of N2O. So the experimental value is also given to you already. It is 82 kilojoule per mole. Okay, so but the only thing what you have to find is only the calculated value you have to find it. So the N2O can be written like N double bond O. You try to correlate from p block structures. So therefore we may say the binding energy for the formation of enthalpy can be written in terms of it is like formation enthalpy can be written in terms of binding energy as summation of binding energy of reactants minus summation of binding energy of products. So here nitrogen N triple bond N is there. So binding energy of N triple bond N, which is given as 946 kilojoule per mole here. So I'm taking it as 946 here. And then oxygen OO binding energy is given 498. So half of the oxygen only I'm breaking. So half of 498. And then minus N2 is double bond NN bond and NO bond. NN bond is given as 418. So here 418. And then N double bond O is also given 607. So 607. Summing up all those datas, we are getting 170. That is our calculated value. We have calculated now. So it is a calculated data. So 82 minus 170 is going to be minus 88. You should be very, very cautious, though it is very easiest one. Look at the options. B, C, D, almost similar. You may get that number 88. But whether it is plus 88 or minus 88 or the decimal points, it is very sensitive. The options are very sensitive. So you should be cautious. You should be very careful when you do the calculations for this type of questions. So I will say it is B is the answer for it. There is a chances to go for sometimes, you may think C calculated minus experimental, you will go for answering it as plus 88. So that's what I'm giving you a very easiest trick here. Remember, easy in an easy way. Okay, calculated is at the final, experimental is to be at the front. So experimental minus calculated. So 28, which of the sequences represents the correct bond angles? When this type of option is given, pick up definitely the 4 compounds only is given. That 4 compounds is jumbled over here. Let me take that water molecules. Water molecules, due to the lone pair repulsions as well as this bond pair repulsions, from tetrahedral angle 109, it gets reduced to 104.28. And OF2 is also having sp3. Oxygen has got 6 electron, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and 2 fluorine is utilized for this one. So therefore here 2 sigma and here 1 sigma, 1 sigma. So totally 4 sigma bonds. Hybridization is sp3 hybridization. So it will have a less bond pair repulsions when compared to the next case, OCl2. Both are isostructural. And why? Because this fluorine is more electronegative. It drags the electron towards itself. So the 2 bond pairs are far away. So repulsions will be less. Whereas when compared to chlorine, oxygen is more electronegative, though the electrons will be dragged towards oxygen side. So the 2 bonding electrons comes closer. So there will be a more repulsion. So there will be a more bond angle. So when the repulsion is more bond angle here. So the repulsion is between 2 bond pairs are very, very higher because of very high electronegativity of oxygen. So therefore the bond angle takes 111 degree Celsius. Okay, 11 degree 1. So therefore we may also say next Cl2O, and it is 118 with 1 lone pair, and in fact it exists as a dimer Cl2O4. ClO2 never exists as a monomeric species. And due to this multiple bond, we know multiple bonds are double bonds are somewhat shorter than the single bond. So the bond still comes closer. When the bond comes closer, bond pair reaches to the maximum closer level. When the bond pairs reaches to the maximum closer level, there will be a maximum repulsion. So therefore it automatically gets back to a larger extent. So there will be an increase in the bond angle to 118. So the correct option that it matches is 28C. And 29, the potential difference across the terminals of a cell varies with the current drawn from the cell. So the current is, when it is taken, the E cell potential is going to be decreased. So slowly it becomes 0. That is to say the cell is getting discharged. So the correct option that it matches is C over here, because when the current is increased, then automatically there will be a potential drop down. Okay, the current is drawn from the cell. So when your current drawn is increasing, the potential drops down. So therefore we will say that's the correct options. And question number 30, again, do not panic by looking at the structures. Try to approach little carefully. Positive iodoform test, which means the group must have an methyl ketones. So CO and CH3. Here also methyl ketone is present. CO, CH3, this compound has got. And there is no other compounds with even here CO, CH3. It's a bond line formula. So we can eradicate a C from this. Only the option can be A, B or D. Now it is also given oxidation of A with the KMnO4, which is a KMnO4 KOH heat will give you whatever the groups are present, irrespective of the length of the chain, it gets converted into carboxylic acids. So B must be carboxylic acids, and anhydride of that carboxylic acids is what we call it as used for the phenolphthalein. So we know for the phenolphthalein preparations we use a phthalic anhydride. So this is a phthalic acid, which is benzene 1,2-dicarboxylic acid. So when OH and hydrogen is removed over here, so we may say that is phthalic anhydride. OH from here and H from here, if you remove, that is a phthalic anhydride. So this is an anhydride. So from phthalic anhydride, when phenol is reacting, so it produces in a phenolphthalein 1, okay, which has got generally colorless in acidic solution and pink color in basic solution. Please remember, this is also bit important. It changes its color. Phenolphthalein is pink in color in basic medium, and many of you remember acid base titration in your lower grades. You might have used phenolphthalein as an indicator. So when you use phenolphthalein for acid base indications like HCl NaOH, so slowly when you go for neutralization, excess NaOH will become after neutralization point. So automatically the solution becomes basic. In basic medium, phenolphthalein gets pink in color. So in acidic medium, phenolphthalein is colorless. So the option is possibly the phthalic anhydride. So we will reverting back. We are coming in a reverse direction. So if phthalic anhydride is used for formation of phenolphthalein, then phthalic acid would have been the product possibly. So the phthalic acid can be produced from either 1-2 substituted products. So here 1-3 or 1-3 product, here 1-4 product are there. So this is where only 1-2 product are there. So therefore I can immediately guess it is first option, and I have also given here for your understanding the reactions of it. So here when it is treated with the iodoform test, let's say it is iodine in the presence of caustic soda. When you treat it, so COCH3, this bond will get cleaved, and this CH3 will get converted into CHI3, and this bond gets converted into COO Na. Upon further reactions, it gets converted into acid part, and KMnO4 KOH, irrespective of this group, which is whatever the length of this group, even if it is an ethyl group, that would have converted into COOH. So therefore option A. 31. And again, a part of this reaction, like the very first part of this 30th question is utilized here. So we can cleave here. It has got a methyl ketone group. So it is a Br2KOH, which is again like a bromoform reactions. It forms a haloform. Bromoform will be formed. This is, we call it as a bromoform. And apart from that, it also forms COO. Since it is given K, so COOK, so it forms C6H5COOK, and it is also given H water or H plus is added. So here H and then OH will be added from the water medium. So therefore it forms benzoic acid. So the correct options that it matches is 31 is B. Protein is a polymer of, it is an observed fact, alpha amino acids, and that too levorotatory. Okay, levorotatory means, again you can easily remember L for L. Levorotatory means it rotates the plane polarized lights towards left side. So remember for L for L. So plane polarized light, when it is rotated towards left, we may say it is a levorotatory. And then 33. To stop bleeding, ferric chloride is generally applied. Why it is? It is to cause the coagulation, that is denaturation of proteins. Blood is basically a protein, so we may say there will be a coagulation of proteins present in the blood. So albumin, that is an albumin part. So therefore we will say a 33 exact matching is D. 34. They are asking you to consider a reaction, and they have given you a condition that the reaction of nitrogen oxide, nitrogen dioxide and ozone represents first order. So this is the reaction rate mechanism with respect to NO2 1, with respect to ozone, that is 1. So therefore from mechanism 1, a slow step. When we see the mechanism, automatically we will understand that this reaction is a complex reaction, that is not an elementary reaction, which means the reaction is not occurring in one single step. Instead it is occurring in various steps. So therefore mechanism is given. The given reaction is a complex reaction, and every step in the mechanism is called as elementary step. Each step in the mechanism is called as elementary step. And we will write the from the first mechanism, the slowest step determines the rate. We also understand this in a very simple way, like if any task is given to you, let's say in a class, like 20 students are asked to go out from the classroom. Let's say one student is still searching for some textbooks or some left out materials. The task what I've given is still complete. It is not still complete. That one person or one student, if it goes out of the classroom only, it gets completed. So the final task or the end of the reaction always depends upon the slow process. Okay, so therefore we will say the slowest step is the rate determining step. So therefore, what are the species involved in the slowest step here is NO2 and then O3. So the NO2 and O3 must be the one, and over here NO2 and O3, when you write that, exactly consistent with the given mechanism for the first one. But for the second one, the slowest step is NO2 and O. So I've written NO2 and O here, but it involves a species which doesn't involve overall product. Okay, the O is not at all appeared in the overall reaction, either in terms of reactants, either in terms of products. So I will try to write from the fast step. So fast equilibrium step, we can apply the law of mass of action. So therefore oxygen can be written as, by using that one, for the first step equilibrium constant, law of mass of action, which means concentration of the products divided by concentration of the reactants. So concentration of oxygen, concentration of O, and nascent oxygen by concentration of O3. From this I am rearranging what is concentration of O, KCO3 by O2. So substituting that here, I will get the equation something like this. Even in this equation, with respect to NO2 it is a 1, with respect to ozone also it is 1. So both the mechanism appear to be consistent with the given rate law. This is a given rate law. With the given rate law, both the mechanism are consistent. So therefore we have to say here 34 both are correct. Okay, both 1 and 2 are appears to be correct one. And 35, in a given reaction C6H5Cn, CH3 generally has a minus charge, negative charge, nature of that alkyl group. So it attacks that carbon. So there will be movement of N. So automatically it gets again undergoes a hydrolysis. The hydrolysis is shown here. It undergoes like two water molecules. Let's say H2 and O, and another H2O can be written something like this. So there are two water molecules appeared like this way. So it forms an acetone, CH3, CO, and then CH3. It forms an acetone plus ammonia and then MgBrOH. So the correct option that it matches is B for it. And 36, D2O is asked for. D2O can be written as D plus and H2O. Remember, the Grignard reagent should be prepared under anhydrous condition. It abstracts H plus immediately when it has got source. So here D plus and OD minus are there. So it abstracts D, it gets converted into CH3D. So since it gets converted into CH3D, we may say the correct option that it matches is 36B. Okay, it cannot further undergo further reactions. 37, and this type of question already we have seen in previous mock tests. So I feel complex compound is a very important topic. Definitely you are going to get more questions on final NEET. So practice this type of questions well. So they have given penta-aqua cyanido ion. So penta-aqua in the sense 5 water molecules, 1 cyanide group with ion 3. So 5 water molecules with 1 cyanide, and ion is plus 3. So let me find out what is this entity charge here. So 3, 0, minus 1. I'm not sure what is this charge. So x equal to 2 finally. So I'm writing here as plus 2. And then for the next case, trichlorido, 3 chlorine, 3 cyanide, and cobaltate is given. So 3 chlorido, 3 cyanido, cobaltate, and then 3 is given. So cobaltate is 3, chloride is minus 3, cyanide is minus 3, equal to x. I must find what is x. So x equal to minus 3. So therefore, with that it matches exactly as minus 3. So the formula is not exactly matching because charges are not equal. So what I should do is I should consider it as x as plus 2, y as minus 3. So which means use the crisscross formula which you learn from your lower classes. So try to cross multiply it. We may say x3 and then y2. So the x3 y2 is the formula. So here I find that option exactly matching here is at option D. So here it is 3 and then over here 2. This can be considered as like a x, and this can be considered as like y. Okay, here also 3 and 2 is present, but here it is Fe is present. That is wrong. So therefore option D only is correct answer. And 38, which of the compounds exist mainly in the enol form? So here we can find C double bond O, next to it this is an alpha carbon. In that hydrogen there will be a movement of this way, so that it becomes O minus. This H plus will be added here. There will be an intramolecular hydrogen bond. Even that is also stable. So it tends to convert into enol form. Ene plus alcohol. So therefore enol form. And even this also, for this carbon oxygen double bond, this is an alpha hydrogen. One of the hydrogen will be left out, so automatically it gives a stable compound, which is an aromatic is obtained. So the driving force for the enol form is one case hydrogen bonds, and the another case it is aromatic nature. And even here for this carbonyl, okay, from any one of this carbon you can take. So this carbon if I take, and we may say this way, let's say for this carbonyl, this is the group. Okay, this hydrogen is moved. So when this hydrogen moves and it moves like this, so here we get a double bond for that carbon, so that it becomes OH. Okay, and for the second case, for this carbonyl, and this is alpha hydrogen. Okay, so therefore this hydrogen, either this also can be used, but since it is already used, I'm going for this one. So this hydrogen will move here, so that here it gets double bond and it converts into OH. And for this CO, this is an alpha hydrogen, so this hydrogen will be out, so here there will be a double bond with OH. That is also resulting in aromatic character. So all of this appears to be obtaining a most mainly in enol form. And the extent of variation with pressure is asked for. So we know that when the pressure is kept constant, okay, the X by M, the extent of adsorption decreases with increase in temperature. So therefore I'm keeping my pressure constant in the curve. I'm trying to correlate with X by M with all the three. So which has got a very greater X by M, that will have less temperature. So here X by M, when it is very less, greater temperature. So X by M is very less for T1. So which means T1 must be a very high temperature. So therefore option C only is a correct match for it. And coming to question number 40, which trihalide is not hydrolyzed by water? So the trihalide which is not hydrolyzed by the water is, we may say NF3, because there is an absence of d orbital. It cannot expand their covalency, whereas NCl3, chlorine will have a vacant d orbitals. It can able to expand its covalency because it forms a tetrahedral intermediate. So the nitrogen cannot expand its covalency. So even the PCl3 and ASCl3 can undergo reactions. You can find another important point. With the nitrogen it forms ammonia, with the PCl3, with the phosphorus it forms a POH3, which means in nitrogen is more electronegative. So when nitrogen is more electronegative, it takes a negative charge, so it interacts with the positive part of the water. So when it interacts with the positive part, so ammonia will be formed. Whereas phosphorus, it is not much electronegative, so it interacts with the negative part of the water, so POH thrice will be formed. So that's the point of difference between the hydrolysis product of NCl3 and PCl3. And ASAl3, all the three chlorine will be replaced by ASOH thrice, but that is also replacing 3 water molecules. Altogether 3 water molecules will be out from 2 cases. Here 1 water molecules, here 1 water molecules, and here you get another water molecules are totally evolved. So there are totally 3 water molecules evolved, so AS2O3 is left out, so it gets converted even into AS2O3. And lysine is a type of amino acids. We can understand this is a lysine structure. So from the lysine structure we infer that there are 2 NH2 groups and then 1 carboxylic acid. So for this, if it neutralizes for 1 amino group, 1 carboxylic acids group, but still it will be 1 NH2 group, which can show a basic nature. So therefore it is a basic amino acids. It is not an acidic amino acids. And 42, if NaCl is doped with 10 power minus 5 mole percentage of strontium chloride. Okay, so here 10 power minus 5 mole strontium chloride is given. First we will understand 1 strontium 2 plus demands how many cationic vacancies. Okay, it is a charge is plus 2, it replaces 2 Na plus, it makes 2 Na plus positions vacant, and then it occupies only one of this position. So 1 strontium 2 plus always creates 1 cationic vacancies. 1 cationic vacancies if it is creates, then we must understand how many strontium 2 plus are there in 10 power minus 5 mole percentage of strontium 2 plus. So 10 power 5 mole percentage will have 10 power minus 7 mole strontium 2 plus. So that contains 10 power minus 7 Na strontium 2 plus. Okay. One strontium 2 plus has got 1 cationic vacancies. So 10 power minus 7 Na will have 10 power minus 7 Na. Equal number. 1 strontium 2 plus, 1 cationic vacancies. 10 power minus 7 mole contains 10 power minus 7 Na ions. So eventually it will have the equal number of cationic vacancies. So therefore 10 power minus 7 Na appears to be the correct answer for it. And 43, and MnO, even instead of MnO, it's a thermal decomposition. Sometimes instead of this MnO, they may also use alumina, Al2O3, or thoria can also be used as options for it. So make sure when you see apart from MnO, if these options also found, so the case or the point that you should use is this one. So you have to remove one COOH and OH from this one. So it converts into H2CO3, and then when it converts into H2CO3, then we may say H2O and CO2 for the splitting. This hydrogen will be replaced. Or in a simple way, I will suggest, remember this way also, tactics can be done in this way, like HCOOH, from this one COOH, from this one OH, so attach with this one. Because if let's say 2 molecules of acetic acid is combined, then what must be the thermal decomposition of this reaction? The same reaction I'm giving with 2 molecules of acetic acid with MnO at 300 degrees Celsius. So what is the trick that you must use here is, I will suggest remove the COOH completely and then OH completely from here. So CH3CO CH3 will be obtained. It results in the ketone. So CH3CO, it results in the ketone, which is a method for preparing both aldehyde as well as ketone. So again H2CO3 will be obtained as a product that can be written as H2O plus CO2. That is the easiest way how you can remember. So the option that it exactly matches here is B, CH3CHO, which is an acetaldehyde here. And 44, which of the following compounds has got all the effects: inductive, mesomeric, hyperconjugation? All the effect is asked for mesomeric and hyperconjugation. So in this compound, which is a compound 44 is we will find at C, will almost get all the cases. This is what where I've written. This has got a double bond, and which has also got CO, that is having a conjugation. Double bond, single bond, then double bond. So therefore a pi-pi conjugation is present. So we may say it is a resonance. So it is like plus M effect, mesomeric effect is exhibited. So CH3 is basically a plus I group. So it involves in a plus I group, and CO is a withdrawing group, COCH3. So minus I group. It also has got a minus I group, and carbon-carbon double bond, alkene. Next carbon is, there is an alpha hydrogen. So there are 3 alpha hydrogens. So therefore 4 hyperconjugative structure is possible. So hyperconjugation is also possible. Whereas in this option D, only the mesomeric effect is possible. Okay, so same way in option D, inductive effect and hyperconjugation is possible, but no mesomeric effect for option B. Option A has got only the inductive effect. There is no mesomeric and there is no hyperconjugation effect also. Okay, and 45, I've asked for by giving a reaction, which choice has value twice that of equivalent mass of oxidizing agent. So SO2 to sulfur, we may find X equal to 4 and X equal to 0. Okay, when X equal to 4, X equal to 0, we may say XO2 to converting into sulfur. So equivalent weight of the SO2 is molecular weight of SO2 by 4. So therefore we may say SO4 64 by 4, because the difference is 4 electron. So 16 gram is going to come. They're asking for twice that of a equivalent mass, okay, of the oxidizing agent. So twice that of oxidizing agent is, that is going to be 32 grams. So therefore option B appears to be the correct answer for this. Okay, so I wish I have given all the detailed informations, and make sure if you really understood all the questions, give us and excite us, delight us with giving an upward symbol, and try to like and share to your friends. Ask your friends to tighten up your preparations, since the NEET is nearby and the NEET is confirmed. So make sure you prepare adequately and to the level of the max. So the Chemistry Rights team is thanking you for watching this video. Visit again, get electrified with Chemistry Rights team. A kind remembrance once again, my dear students, and if you feel this video is bit useful, excite us with upvote. And if you feel this NTA mock test series is useful, please do not forget to subscribe and share to your friends. Please, we are waiting for you to comment your queries and any recommendations if you have for your future. Thank you.